Welcome to the Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts. We are your international headquarters for resources and ideas and insight in relation to the 9 elements of holistic wellness. Join us as we interview local and international wellness experts and learn how you can implement and improve one element or dimension of wellness at a time. Our experts will share their practical tips on wellness in one of these core areas: emotional, intellectual, occupational, physical, environmental, financial, spiritual, social, or habitual. We created our family of podcasts as a resource for anyone who is looking to integrate the 9 elements of holistic wellness into their daily lives. Welcome to the show. The Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts is proudly sponsored by the Global Wellness HQ community. It's an online membership group where we meet, we share ideas, we share insights, and we all work together and help one another discover our own personal wellness journeys. If you'd like to join us, you can easily click the link below or scan the QR code.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. Today, I'm really excited. We have Dr. Dawn Andalon with us. Welcome, Dawn.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, why don't you start? Just tell us a little bit about yourself and let's focus on what you do and why you do it.
Yeah, so my husband and I founded Level 4 PT and Pilates. We are both doctors of physical therapy. We actually met back in school years ago. And we working in traditional type of settings in different locations up and down the coast of California and up in Oregon. We always saw what was missing in why we decided to become physical therapists and fitness professionals. So we decided to do our own way and create more of an integrative wellness center, including Pilates, massage, nutrition, and physical therapy, supporting people primarily age 40 and up. And then more recently, we decided to niche our business a little bit more into women's health, especially women, supporting women over 40.
I love that. And I think one of the things I've been through many physiotherapists, and it always amazed me that, we'll put a lot of time and attention into fixing somebody after life has broken them. Wouldn't it be nice if we could prevent some of those things?
Exactly. That's what our main goal was. And it's not always as sexy of a topic to do prevention, but it's more about how we can educate the public. And I think actually the pandemic kind of helped us in that way because people were seeking out more of a lifestyle change or trying to pay closer attention to their health. So that's kind of where we focus, even though we do help people after surgeries and to recover from things. We're more on the let's support you for the long run so your body doesn't break down.
I love that. And that's going to be a fun path. So you've told me a little bit about why you do what you do. Why do you think it's important to my listeners that they should be focusing on holistic and preventative? And spoiler alert, the show is about holistic wellness. So my audience probably gets it, but why do you think they should?
Well, as we age, we lose a lot of our mobility. And in order to enjoy your life to the fullest while you're living, it's not really living if you can't stay active. So we like to use the example. Think of a car needs maintenance. Well, you only have one body to live in. So you need to take care of your body and you need to be more on the precautionary side of what is going to maintain the flexibility in your joints and your muscles so they don't break down, your strength, because as we age, we lose strength. I can go more into those like just physiological reasons, but mentally, emotionally, people aren't really living if they're not staying active and able to do the things that they want to do with their friends and family.
And I think I know a few seniors who've just accepted that we age, this is the way it is. And, they spend their days sitting on a couch watching TV and they've accepted that chronic pain is inevitable. I feel like if we take some proactive measures, we might be able to reduce some of that.
Exactly. And it's just so cool to see. Like, I have seen with my own eyes women in their 80s and even 90s that can keep up with people 20, 30 years younger than them if they're constantly working on their mobility and being more proactive about it.
I love it. Now, we're going to go on a little tangent just because it's my show and that's what I do. But one of the things I'm going to talk about a misconception about Pilates, and I want your take on this. A lot of people, and myself, I used to think Pilates was for those really flexible noodle people that, had nothing better to do. And when I personally sustained a back injury, I realized that just a little tiny posture adjustment could drastically eliminate pain. What misconceptions are you finding that people have about Pilates and wellness in general that maybe we can poke a hole in today together?
Yeah, I love this question because some people have the misconception that Pilates is, like you say, just more for advanced movers or athletes, people that are already flexible, and that's so not the case. For the very beginner up to not being able to get up and down from the floor. I mean, those are the kind of people that we love to support and just see those changes because it focuses on connecting your brain with your body. And people also have noticed it in the dance community or in Hollywood, so they think it's more of a girly thing, when in all actuality, I've had male clients that have improved their golf game, seen professional athletes. Like, this is across the board. Like you say, for back pain is like one of the best things that you can do.
I love it. And I think it's a funny thing you say, and I hear this a lot. People say, when I was doing it, people say, isn't that for women? And it's like, I was the guy, and full disclosure, first time I was on the reformer machine, I got tangled up and I fell off, and the instructor had a really good laugh at me. But it took me all of 5 minutes, and I was like, wow, this is comfortable. And, so I just want people to know that it is not just for women. It's not just for people who are incredibly flexible. I mean, I had such a bad back injury, touching my toes was not even in my realm of possibilities, and I can do it now. So
That's awesome.
it's a great place to start. And to be blunt, I've been to many physiotherapists. Personally, I'd rather do the Pilates than the physio after the breakage or damage. So
Yeah, and that's what teaching Pilates, I just saw there's such a missing link in like traditional physical therapy. If we're not really integrating a type of exercise that people are motivated and get drawn to, then you're going to see them walk out the door and their pain and their injury is just going to come back. So what can you do to really keep it going and give you things that are Pilates based to do at home too?
I love it. And one of the things I will say, my big aha was, I thought, again, traditional Pilates was on those weird torture device machines. And I was lucky that a friend of mine gave me some exercises and said, you can do this at home. I have an exercise I do sitting in my office chair, and it helps relieve back pain when I've been sitting for hours. And it's
Yeah.
just bringing those little things into my life has taken me from perpetual pain into, I don't feel pain until I forget to do the exercises. And then it's like, oh yeah, I better do them. So
Exactly.
now, one of the things we talk about on the show are quick wins. And I apologize because I realize that holistic health is not a quick win in any stretch. But what are some things people could do, or maybe they should know, so that they'd be better prepared when they show up at your studio to see, just to be ready to do Pilates, or focus on that holistic health?
Yeah, this is what we're really big into, is giving education to people in a way that's simple, that they understand it. So, going to, just for example, we love to do lots of YouTube videos, and there are simple, quick fixes of things you can adjust in your chair when you're sitting at your desk, sleeping positions. just some lifestyle changes and doing that kind of learning more about your body. And if you need those resources, I can provide those. But I think it's important to learn from somebody that is a medical expert that has helped thousands of people and able to prove that they've seen success by learning from those people, either reading a book, watching videos, resources like that. We have blogs on our website. I just love when people come in and they do a little education on themselves and learn more about their own body, because many times they're confused if a doctor tells them they need surgery or they need a medication. They don't understand what's going on with their body. So being able to find the right information, because there's a lot of crazy stuff on the internet, but finding a resource that's has a reputation for being an expert in the field.
And that's, I think, one of my little lessons in life. When I was younger, I'd go to these yoga classes, and, to be blunt, there was a teenager teaching the thing, and I'm like, what do you know about spinal? It's important to have advisors around you and advice where they've earned the right to say, no, 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 don't do that. Make sure you do this. So, what are some questions? Actually, this is a total tangent, but what are some questions people should be asking their healthcare provider before blindly following the advice? Because I hear a lot of advisors saying, well, people don't listen to me. Well, what should they be asking so that they have the comfort to know they should listen?
Yeah, so I always advise my clients, if they are told they need a surgery, that they're getting multiple opinions, not just trusting one source, and having a couple different people look over their testing or talk to them about their options. Just here I know you're in Canada, but in Southern California where we are, there's kind of a process that some of the bigger hospital systems follow, saying, okay, we'll check that box before we go on to the next box. And it's kind of like dictated by what insurance will pay for. But if you are going out to do your own research and be your own advocate, and realizing that sometimes you do have to go outside of your insurance, and it's a sad thing, but in order to really, this is your body, and you shouldn't just trust the advice of one person, of really doing your research and looking at alternative options as well.
I love that. And I want to reiterate, this happens in Canada too, not to the extent that you see, but a lot of times the best treatment option is the one that insurance will pay for. It's not necessarily the one that's actually best for the patient.
Very true. Very true.
So be very, and I'm going to be blunt. I've seen a lot of surgical hospitals where they've got a fully developed marketing program. It's, and I think, in my opinion, cutting should be the last option. I mean, there's certain things where surgery is the only cure or only treatment, but I know for me personally, with spinal issues, moving right, learning how to move, if you're not willing to do the little things like learning how to stretch and properly bend and pick things up, surgery is just a stopgap, and you're going to be in the same position later in life as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where I say exhaust the other options before going down that route, because the research shows that you're going to be in the same position from before. It doesn't have, you can do so much with diet and exercise to be able to help you firsthand.
And it's one of those questions I always love to ponder. People who've had a major cardiac event, studies have shown that, like, recidivism, or the kind of people who follow the advice and implement health and wellness and diet and nutrition, is like single digits almost. It's like, if we're not willing to change after a heart attack, what's it going to take?
Seriously, you're like a ticking time bomb.
Let's go through that again. That was fun. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the mistakes you see people making, and you wish they would have come to you first. What are some of the common things that people are doing wrong that you could help them avoid?
Yeah, that's where some of the best clients that we actually do see have tried a lot of different things before they come see us. So it may be a little bit more skeptical when they come see us, like, why would this work for me? But we truly are going back to the basics of their lifestyle, their body mechanics, and asking them questions that maybe nobody else has asked before, and like getting the big picture. So I would say some people do tend to jump into the surgical option too quickly. Like we were talking about, just being able to look at other options. Also, I'm a pelvic floor specialist and a physical therapist, so that's like a niche and a specialty a lot of medical doctors don't even truly understand how we can help. So things like bladder problems, bowel issues, prolapse, these problems are often dismissed or um, either given a surgery option or this is the way it is and you just have to live that way. And I just want people to know that there are so many stories of women I've helped of all different ages that is going back to the basics and really looking at how their body is working for them, not against them, and things they might not have tried before when it has to do with muscle support and breathing and, going back to what their core is able to do with their muscle function and their lifestyle. So, yeah, jumping into surgery or just trusting that they need some medication that really has an awful side effect and they're not given another option. Those would be some of the things that we're trying to change and just educate people more that there might be something else to try.
I love it. And honestly, for me, I recognize, I hear stories and I can tell you about people I know who went the surgical option too quickly. They took the medication with the bad side effects. The one that really bothers me is the shrug your shoulders, this is the way it is.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. I have not spent enough time with you to be able to list out a whole bunch, but the reality is, there are certain things that people just accept, and it becomes a joke on television. You see it on TV and you're like, oh well, I'm not alone, we all suffer. um, I think when you get to know what the core can do, I mean, me personally, I can talk about, better posture, feeling better. I mean, it comes with confidence. It helps your mood, it helps your mindset. I would imagine there are a long list of things that working on the core and the pelvic floor, you're dealing with those on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tell me a story. So we're going to get into the story time, but you mentioned, that you've worked with a lot of women. Obviously, don't share names, but tell me a story about one that sticks out where maybe they came to you and they were just, this is the way it is. It's hopeless. They were super skeptical. Tell me a little bit about what you did together and tell me how it changed their life after the fact.
Yeah. Well, I can think of two women just more recently, both coming in to see me because they were recommended to get surgery for a pelvic organ prolapse. And this can happen with the bladder, uterus, or rectal area. Common in women with menopause, postmenopause, childbirth, different reasons why it can happen. But one woman was actually told by her doctor that ship has sailed and this is your only option. And she was like in tears in my office, and she did not even have that severe a prolapse. It was like baffling to me why this doctor would put her down like that. And so she went to look for other options. Another woman that I've seen more on a long-term basis was told something similar or just told to schedule her surgery. And she said, I'm going to hold off on that. Maybe I need it down the road, but I have not exhausted all options. And she's always been into more holistic care. And she's 70 years old. And she just said, do I still have a chance? I'm 70. I know I've always kept up with exercise, but can this really change? And sure enough, I've been seeing her probably, I would say, the last like 4 to 5 weeks, 1 to 2 times a week, and giving her things to work on her own. She's also a very highly motivated individual, always into health and fitness. But even if she wasn't, we would have still seen a huge change. And now she is able to take an hour drive, which she couldn't do before, to see her daughter and sit in the car without this uncomfortable pain and pressure that she was getting in her lower abdominal area due to some prolapse issues. And it was uncomfortable to sit because she has a rectal prolapse. So even any pressure on that area was uncomfortable, which that has resolved. So just knowing that people are told, well, surgery is the only thing you can fix it. We've been able to make a huge change, and it's really been life-changing for her, because she's like, these are things that I thought I wouldn't be able to do, and now I can
Yeah.
do them, and I didn't even have to go through surgery yet.
Well, and I think that's one thing I'm hearing, and you can correct me if I miss it, but one of the things I've experienced, and I believe you're I'm going to call them your patients, you know, it takes a tiny little bit of effort. And if you do it and you do it consistently, and you can avoid surgery. But worst case scenario, if, after 4 weeks she wasn't feeling relief, she could still, I mean, really, if you've even booked your surgery, odds are you can be feeling better before the surgery gets here.
Yep, exactly. And those are just two stories, but we see a ton of back pain and sciatica. And that's, like, as you know, that can be really debilitating. And you can't be able to exercise like you want to. You can't be able to sleep. You can't be able to sit comfortably. So we've seen huge changes. And usually those people, we make sure that they understand it's not a quick fix. Like, they are making a change in their health, and they're going to have to stick to some sort of therapeutic regimen, whether it's seeing us or it's doing constant, either Pilates, yoga, some exercises at home, things that are going to keep their body moving and healthy, and keep it away once it goes away.
I love it. And I'll just share my experience. The time I spent whining about my pain and coming up with excuses why I couldn't do Pilates, had I been doing the Pilates, I would have solved the problem in less energy, right? But
Yeah, it's like hindsight's 2020, right?
I've become a little bit passionate about Pilates just because of the myriad of things. I mean, it's just, and for me, it was just fascinating. I am not a biomechanics person, but it was just fascinating that, sometimes when you have a problem in your lower leg with flexibility, it manifests itself in a neck problem. And it's
Yeah.
like, structurally, if we straighten that structure out, everything from top to bottom, it's not just, I went to Pilates because I had real extreme pain in my lower back. What I realized was, oh, if we fix something down in, I don't know what it was in my lower leg, but it was a tightness issue. And all of a sudden the neck pain went away. And I was like, oh, and we dealt with the back pain while we're at it. So
Yeah, that's a big thing with us, is really looking at the whole body, not just the body part that hurts.
And I just love that, it gives from a patient's point of view. I mean, when I first went to physio, I would literally just lay on the table and this person would tie me in knots and do all kinds of weird things to help me. And I was completely helpless. I felt like, honestly, physio was something that was done to me,
Hmm.
and obviously for me, but it was very much to me. Whereas when I started doing the Pilates, I felt really good because it was part of my journey and I impacted the results.
Yeah, it put you in control.
Yeah, so I was no longer some passive participant.
That's such a good point.
I'm sure you hear variants of that. Now, tell me a little bit. I know you mentioned, and sorry to put you on the spot and embarrass you, but I'm going to make you share. You mentioned that you've written a book and you've got some other things going on. First of all, tell me about the book. And then, second of all, how can people connect with you and get to know more about you and the educational work you're doing?
Yeah. So my husband and I, we released a book in 2020 all about called Thrive Not Survive over 40. So that's more based to do with some of the things you're talking about with Pilates, back pain, different joint pain. I've actually been a part of releasing 3 books, but more recently in May this year, it's called um, It's Never Too Late, and it's the truths about menopause and aging and how to support women as they age, and really give the information that has been life-changing for a lot of my clients. Some of the stories that I share in there are how I've been able to guide people in the right direction that are dealing with back pain, sciatica, bladder problems, prolapse, painful sex, like all the things that maybe were dismissed by the doctor, or they didn't get the answers that they wanted. And realizing that age is not the excuse for why it's not getting better. It's guiding you in the right direction. So that is available on Amazon and also on our website. It's level4pt.com. So LEVEL number 4 pt.com. On the homepage there, we have all 3 of the books that I've written and the one that my husband and I did together. So those can be purchased there or on Amazon.
Awesome. And we will put links to those in the show notes. So thank you for spelling it out. We'll make sure people do get that, because one of the things I find is as I get older, the women around me are also aging with me. And, menopause is just one of those things either we don't talk about or it sucks and this is the way it is. And it's like with a little knowledge, we can change that perception. So
yeah, and the buzzwords about hormones or weight loss, like the common symptoms that come up in menopause, but many times people don't understand some of the physical side effects. So that's what I go into as well, like supporting through the physical, how your body feels and how your mobility and pain can come up.
I love that. I love that. And I could talk to you all day, Dawn. I appreciate it. But is there anything I should have asked you? Because again, you're the expert in this space, but is there anything I should have asked you that you'd like to share with my audience, kind of as a parting thoughts?
I just think this is great on what you're doing and focusing more on holistic care, and just having people realize that if they don't like the advice they've been given, or they feel like something doesn't sit quite right, to do their research and being able to meet with a couple practitioners that maybe can guide them in the right direction, not just taking the word of one person that might just say surgery or medications.
I love that. And again, there's so many options. I'm not saying, for the record, I don't want somebody to say, but you said don't get surgery. And I want your opinion on this, but I feel surgery is the last resort. We've tried diet, we've tried nutrition, we've tried exercise, we've tried burning a candle and crossing our fingers, whatever, we've tried it. And surgery is the only option.
Absolutely. Yes. It's not to say all the clients that I've seen have not gone down that road, but like you said, do what you can more holistically, because your body will thank you and you'll have a better outcome after surgery too.
Yeah. And I think that's the piece. If you're in a better place physically, you'll recover much faster.
Correct.
And, not to stereotype, but I can tell, this is a weird thing, but when you're watching movies and television, I can tell you who in Hollywood has Pilates in their repertoire. They just have a better
With their
posture.
posture.
Yeah.
True.
It's funny to watch, and it's like, why, yes, I get that these people in Hollywood, they can have trainers in their house and they can work out for hours, but the reality is you don't need 10 hours a day of Pilates to at least get those shoulders back a little and have that neutral posture. So
So true.
well, Don, I just want to thank you for being on the show. I could talk to you for hours, but I do want to respect your time. Where can our audience go? So you mentioned your website. Is there anywhere else they can go to connect with you and learn more about what you're doing at Level 4 PT?
Yes. So following us on YouTube or subscribing to Level 4 Women's Health. There's lots of great videos on there, even talking about Pilates exercises on there as well. and on Instagram, Level 4 PT.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time. And on behalf of my audience, I want to thank you for sharing your insight with us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our show. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we invite you to either click the link below or scan the QR code to register and listen to other episodes of our podcast. Or if you think your business or you would be a great guest to be on our show, we're always looking for experts in one of the 9 elements of holistic wellness. We'd love to have you. You can either click the link below or you can scan the QR code and complete our speaker intake form. Thank you, and to your wellness.